Welcome to the Grippy Sock Club, the podcast where being called crazy is a compliment and you or someone you love may struggle with mental illness or have lived through chaos and somehow found your strength and yourself to pull through. This is a space for the deep feelers, the overthinkers, the ones who needed immense strength and still are here. Whether you're fresh out the behavioral hospital yourself or someone you love is struggling, you've come to the right place for a new kind of safe space. So it's BPD Awareness Month and Mental Health Awareness Month. So BPD stands for Borderline Personality Disorder. And we're going to talk about what it's like for myself, my experience being diagnosed with this disorder. I'm Brooke, and I'm your host. I thought it was a perfect time to launch my podcast. And funny story, I genuinely didn't even know it was BPD Awareness Month. I saw that it was Mental Health Awareness Month, and I got so excited because I have a passion for obviously talking about mental health, opening up the minds of others when it comes to it, breaking stigmas. I love learning about people. I actually went to school to be able to understand the mind. And it helps. It helps a lot with me personally and my diagnosis because I'm very self-aware of it. And that helps a lot. So unfortunately, it is a little bit of hell mixed in with, the good because I know what I'm doing and I can't stop. So, but I'll be the first to be like, hey, I'm insane. Or I'm sorry about that. I acted out a little too much. Or, hey, I did this. I fucked up. My bad. And genuinely care and know that I did wrong. I'll be the first to say it. I'm going to go ahead and call out myself and let you guys know my diagnosis is. So I have been diagnosed by multiple psychiatrists and doctors and all the above. Therapists, counselors, same thing, you get it. I've been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, OCD, with ADD and ADHD. Think you pretty much know what that is. CPTSD. And what else am I diagnosed with? I got a whole little plethora of options. A little goodie bag of mental illness. Oh, yeah. Anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder. And apparently my panic attacks are so bad now that they are sending me into seizures. So that's cool. That's super cool. The last one I had, I lost feeling in all of my limbs, couldn't move, was drooling. It was bad. It was really not cute. And it sent me into a seizure. So yeah, that's fun. So that's what I'm going through right now. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the BPD aspect of it because it is Borderline Personality Disorder Awareness Month, and I want to stop with the stigma on some things. So everybody, unfortunately, can Google Borderline Personality Disorder, and they'll see so many upset, significant others that were just like, oh, I got hurt by somebody with borderline personality disorder and they're just a narcissist. They're the narcissist. NPD and BPD are the same thing. No, they're not. No, they're not. If you actually Google, and you can Google this, borderline personality disorder, who do they attract? What kind of people do they attract? And it's actually narcissistic personality disorder. We attract narcissists. And that's why no, I'm just joking. All my exes are not narcissists, but a lot of them are. And that is because, and my psychiatrist, pointed this out to me. So narcissists love bomb, right? They love bomb us. They love bomb you. They build you up, build you up, build you up. Well, they need somebody to do that for. They need somebody to idolize them. They need them, And us borderlines, we need the love and affection and just what they're giving us when they're love bombing us, right? So we need each other. And guess what happens? It is terrible. It's not good at all. But yeah, you can go ahead and Google that one. We are not the same. That is not BPD. So I'm going to tell you what BPD really is. And this is from somebody that has it. This is for somebody that has been to school for it. This is somebody that is very educated in borderline personality disorder and very self-aware and lives with it every day in her own mind and diagnosed with borderline personality disorder by multiple doctors and all that good stuff. We are way too empathetic when it comes to a lot of things. They physically cannot feel the empathetic thing, We can. But we can be manipulative. And self-centered and all this stuff. Because guess what? We're human beings. But that being said, we are known for doing that and attention seeking and all this stuff. If someone you know has borderline personality disorder, please do not ever trigger that person and tell them that what they're doing is attention seeking, because you're just going to make it worse. It's very often misunderstood. My doctor, when she diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder, she actually told me, Brooke, you don't have to tell anyone that you have this. And I was like, why? Why wouldn't I tell somebody that I have this? If they're my friend or something, they should definitely know, because maybe that'll help them understand me more. And she's like, it has such a bad stigma around it. People don't understand it yet. They don't understand it, and it's got a bad rep. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to tell my story to anyone and everyone that's going to listen, because people with borderline, and most of us have borderline personality disorder, BPD, because of extreme childhood trauma. Okay. And this is not our fault. Having borderline personality disorder is sad. It's so sad because we spent our whole childhood being abused and neglected and ignored and hurt beyond words. To be able to have BPD from the abuse, it has to be bad. And it's not our fault. All we want is to be loved. That little kid in us needs the love in a safe space that we did not get when we were younger, and we did not deserve to be spending the rest of our life with this disorder, fixing what they caused, the people that hurt us. And we have to spend the rest of our life fixing that and healing from that. And it pisses me off. It told my psychiatrist, pissed her off too. I mean, it's sad. It really is. So please stop with the stigmas and actually do your research. I saw something today on Facebook that had this guy, and he's this older gentleman, and he's got his psych degree and all this stuff. And he's just calling out, he said, borderlines versus narcissists. And this is the biggest stigma. It's the biggest stigma online and on videos and on social media. It's people putting the two together. They're not the same. They are not the same disorder, okay? We feel highly. Our problem is we feel so much. We feel too much. We feel 10 times the other person. If you're feeling pain or grief, we feel like we're dying from it. That's just what it is. That is literally what comes down to BPD, is we feel more than the average human. We don't know how to handle that. We don't know where to put it. Narcissists, they don't feel empathy. We feel it too much. So just stop it. And this isn't talking bad about narcissists. This is a fact, okay? This is a fact. They don't have that empathetic. They can't. So there's a life expectancy impact, right? So studies suggest that individuals with BPD may have a life expectancy to 15 to 20 years shorter than the general population. That is largely due to increased risk of suicide and substance abuse and high-risk behaviors. Around 70% of people with BPD will attempt suicide at least once in their lifetime. And 8 to 10% will die by suicide. And this rate is more than 50 times higher than the general population. Do you hear that? 70% of people with BPD will attempt suicide at least once in their lifetime. And 8 to 10 will die by suicide. This rate is more than 50 times higher than the general population. It's heartbreaking. BPD affects about 1.6% of the U.S. population, which translates to over 4 million people. And despite being less well-known than disorders like schizophrenia, it is actually more common. 75% of diagnosed cases are women. However, men with BPD may be diagnosed with other conditions like PTSD or depression. BPD is often called the hardest mental illness to live with due to the extreme emotional distress, instability, and impulsivity it causes. If you Google what the hardest mental illness to live with is, you will see borderline personality disorder. It is above all the mental illnesses, you guys. Think about that. And as somebody that is diagnosed with this, it is painful. Everybody asks me, what is having BPD like? It's hell. It's hell in my body. So much pain. I can't even begin to express into words how much all the time. And I have to live with that. We have to live with that. And it's the hardest mental illness to live with. They say that. Anyways, moving on. People with BPD often attract partners who have narcissistic or avoidant traits, creating intense but unstable relationships. Their fear of abandonment can lead to push-pull dynamics, making relationships highly emotional and sometimes chaotic. Yes, our biggest fear is abandonment. We may have experienced this in childhood. I know that mine is abandonment. If I sense it, I sound like the guy, Family Guy with this. I hate it. I hate it. Come here. Nope. It's creepy. I have abandonment issues very badly. And when I think that somebody's about to abandon me, I will do this thing called splitting, and we'll get to that too. Many individuals with BPD turn to alcohol or drugs as a coping mechanism, which can worsen symptoms and increase impulsivity. I'm actually in a 12-step program right now. I am not an alcoholic, but I am a cutter. I will hurt myself. Unfortunately, I will hurt myself because I hate myself. And it just releases the pain. I need the pain to go somewhere, and I can't put it anywhere. And it's just too much. It's bottling in. And when I cut, it releases all of it. And I don't know how to explain that to anybody, but the pain just goes away. And it's just like a, thank you. I'm in there for that. BPD is frequently misdiagnosed as bipolar disorder, depression, or PTSD, leading to ineffective treatments. So, unfortunately, BPD is not treatable. It is not treatable. It is manageable, but unfortunately, I have to live with this for the rest of my life. And it is very much misdiagnosed. I was told, I might have bipolar disorder, autism. I do have depression. I do have PTSD, all this stuff, but they just couldn't figure out the main disorder because none of my medications were working. It was making it way worse. I was on Abilify, and I wasn't taking it like I was supposed to, but I was on Abilify after with postpartum. I had postpartum really bad this time too, and I went nuts. Like, I did things that I never would have done ever in a million years. And Abilify is an antipsychotic. I should not have been on that. I'd spent 7 years trying to find what's going on with me. And finally, I got in touch with some doctors that know what the heck's going on. And a lot of people will not take BPD patients. But I did a very in-depth assessment a couple times. Yeah, borderline personality disorder was my diagnosis. A lot of it is the self-hate and the splitting and the hurting myself portion of it. BPD is complex. Very, very, very complex. A lot of people don't understand it, but understanding it can foster empathy and better support for those who live with it. So there's a saying, fuck you, don't leave me. Fuck you, don't leave me. We will attack, but we don't really want you to leave us. So there's this thing that we do, it's called splitting. When we feel any rejection or you're pulling away, we will get paranoid that you don't love us anymore. Yesterday, I was at group therapy, and it came down to I feel lonely. Okay, well, why am I lonely? Because I don't have friends. Well, yes, I do have friends. I want to hang out with people, but I don't want to hang out with people, right? Like, I want to go, but I don't want to go. And where is that? How does that make sense? And then we were trying to figure out where that stemmed from. Like, why do I not want to go, but I do want to go, And then it came down to I feel like I have to entertain everyone to keep them to stay with me. I always have to be doing something fun or entertain them in a way for them to stay or just to like me. And I shouldn't have to feel that way. As a kid, apparently I grew up entertaining. I was always an entertainer. I was always the jokester of the room. And I'm just ready to have friends where I can sit in silence and I may not be anxious as hell that they're gonna never hang out with me again. I just need to be myself. I don't have to entertain. That's the thing that I need to learn. She said it's a rational fear and an irrational fear. My irrational fear is people aren't gonna like me if I'm not entertaining them at all times. If they don't have something fun to do with me, then they're gonna leave and they're not gonna like me and they're never gonna hang out with me again. That's the irrational fear. It's not true. And I know this. I will sabotage relationships unknowingly. Now, the good ones, let me just say right now, just because you have borderline personality disorder does not mean if you were in a relationship with somebody that is abusive or whatever, that it's you. No, it's not you. You're not overthinking it. If somebody is overstepping your boundaries and treating you poorly and abusing you, you need to get out. And my problem is I always was like, okay, well, I have this disorder. Is it me? Is it me? Is it me? It's probably me. No, like I became very educated in it, very self-aware, and able to see okay, this isn't me. This is a them problem, and they're not respecting me. I did nothing wrong. But there were moments before all this, before I learned more, like I had just gotten diagnosed with borderline, and I didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. I just thought I was just a broken piece of, I don't know. I was on a Abilify. It was just a mess. It was a mess and a half. Postpartum, like I would split. So I was in a relationship and I was very insecure. It comes from a very insecure place, splitting. I struggled with self-love and respecting myself. I poured all my love into trying to be everything that this person wanted, and it destroyed me. I wasn't focusing on my mental health. I should have been focusing on my mental health. Everything was about him. Other than my children, it was about him. I didn't love myself enough yet. Literally had just been diagnosed BPD. And when I would split, I was evil. I was so evil to him. I would say the meanest, most disgusting things to him because I felt rejected. I look back on it now and the things that I put him through, and I hate it. We can seem like we don't have any empathy for the other person. When you have BPD and you're in a splitting episode, you can become the devil himself. I mean, you will hurt. And I'm not talking physical unless you are in a fight or flight mode, like unless you are scared. It all comes from a place of fear when you are splitting. I drove into a therapeutic office and I said, I need to see someone now. And I had just had a splitting episode. Like I was in tears. I just couldn't understand how someone so sweet, because I'm so sweet. The Brooke in me is the kindest, most giving, generous person, like loving, like what they call it, lover girl. I'm such a lover girl. I'm so sweet and like would give the shirt off my back for anyone, right? The only thing that brings me happiness is my kids and helping others. It's just the truth. And I couldn't even hurt a fly. Like if I see a bug outside, before a bird gets to it, I'm gonna try to save this thing. I'm so empathetic and a great person, and it sucks that I'll never get to know that version of myself that I could have been had I not been abused as a child. I digress. So I drive into this place, and I'm like, please, someone help me. I mean, I got tears running down my eyes. They're like, do you have an appointment? I said, no, I don't. I just need to see someone now. And this is before I went inpatient. And my depression was so bad and my self-hatred was so bad. And this wasn't anything I had done recently. It was just the past. Things that I've done to people that I've loved, said to them when splitting. And it just took its toll. Instead of helping me with my mental illness, people took away things that I love. And those are the narcissists in my life. Those are the abusive ones that gave me my PTSD in the first place, other than my childhood, but we won't get into that. They were using my mental health to take away my children. And I'm gonna tell you one thing right now, I've never hurt my children. I would never hurt my children. I will always protect them. My number one goal was to be the safe parent that I deserved in my life. I would never, and when my children cry, I tell them it's okay, that their feelings are valid, and to tell me we do the feelings wheel. I'm very much a caring parent, and my kids love me, and I love my children, and they support this 100%, and I love that. Like my 8-year-old she'll be like, I'm having anxiety right now. I'm that kind of parent. I want my children to know what they feel and what's happening so that they go with the tools in their life to be the best version of themselves, okay? I'm not saying I'm a perfect parent. I have messed up. I will say that there's one thing about me. I do not deserve to have my children taken from me. My children will never see me act out. I contain this around my children. I respect them, okay? Unfortunately, people are using my mental health against me. So I had to keep it in. I couldn't say anything to anyone. The judicial system doesn't help those who have been abused. I'm sorry, they don't. I was told to keep quiet, and shut my mouth and obey the rules. Don't be sad. Okay, you just took away children that I gave birth to and love and I've raised by them myself for most of it, and you're just gonna. I'm supposed to just shut my mouth. Yep, shut your mouth. You're not sad. Don't let anybody know you're sad. Okay. So what happens? It bottles up and it bottles up and it bottles up and it bottles up and I explode. And I end up an impatient because I couldn't talk to anyone, because I couldn't say that I was hurting. And it's sad. It's sad. It's so sad that people rather tell us to be quiet. It's going to make us look weak. No, if anything, I am the parent that is strong as hell. And my children are aware of their own feelings because I wasn't given the tools I wanted my children. That gave me strength. It gave them strength for the future. It showed them that they're cared about. And I want my children to always yell loudly at the rooftops what they're feeling. My boys, my girls, and I want them to be heard. I want them to never experience this. So I keep going off on an ADD tangent. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I drove into this place and I'm sitting there and they're like, okay, do you mind sitting right here? And as I'm sitting right here and they're trying to make me a chart, there's this girl, she comes out and the doctor was like, we need an ambulance right now. So it was obvious that she was going inpatient and everything was chaotic. But while they were waiting for them outside, she was smoking a cigarette and the therapist was sitting with her and she was just like crying. And I'm watching her and I'm thinking about just how I just drove in there and I was feeling the same thing as this person. And I didn't know if it was crossing boundaries or not, but I just took out a piece of paper and I wrote down, if you ever need a friend and you're not alone. And I wrote down my number. I walked outside and everybody's watching me like, whoa, where are you going? And I walked straight to her and I asked the therapist, I said, I hope this is okay. And the girl, I was like, is it okay if I give you something? And the girl looks at me and she goes, yes. And I handed her that and I go to walk away. I was like, it's going to be okay. And I walked off and she stood up and she said, ma'am. And she's like, can I please hug you? And I said, yes. And she read it and she balled in my arms and she said, you have no idea how bad I needed that. And I was like, I think I do. I think I do. And I walked inside and I sat on that chair and I felt 10,000 million trillion times better. And that's when I said, you know what? I need to do a podcast. I literally could leave right now and I would feel complete. I just got more in that moment than a session could give me. That's when I started the podcast. I went home that day after my session and I said, you know what? I'm starting a podcast. I'm doing it. I'm going to help others. I'm going to create the safe space where everybody can roar loudly at the top of their lungs, however mentally ill they are, what they're going through, they're hurting, they're hurt, their pain. They can get on my podcast and they can tell their story, their survival story, their everything. This is not a place to be told to shut up. This is a place where we can yell it and it's accepted. And if it can help one person like that I did that day, that's just my dream in general. And I digress again. I'm going on a roller coaster of topics. I have so many things to talk about. Where was I? Where the was I? Okay, so this is called zoning out because I don't know where the hell I was. If you got that ADD, raise your hand. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So then I started that podcast. And I'm sitting there and coming up with all these ideas. Idea. And then one night I went out and I came home. I missed my children. I feel like I failed them. It was killing me and I had to keep shutting up about it and I couldn't. It just bottled up and I just had enough. And I tried to go to the heavenly gates of Narnia. My brother actually resuscitated me, saved my life, and brought me to inpatient. I healed up. My scars are still there, but I healed up. And I realized when I was in there, I'm like, talking to him whenever it all calmed down. After I got out of the hospital and then I went inpatient, I'm sitting there and talking to everybody. And I made so many friends in there. And I remember when we were all sitting around and they supported me so much. They're like, oh, you need to put this content in there and this content in there. And they're just like bouncing off all the other mentally ill patients. And we're just like, yeah, 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 yeah. Hell yeah, it's going to be so great. Like, oh my gosh. And they supported me so much. And I was just like in with my people, right? I was in with my people. I found them. And everybody's just like, we're having meetings and group and we're just unloading all our vulnerable parts of ourselves. And it's just beautiful. And we're bonding. And I was just like, oh my God, I love this. And we're laughing our ass off because we all have dark humor. And it was just fun. It was actually a good time. And I met my group of people in there. And I remember looking down in the mornings because we were eating breakfast and it's like so early. And I'm looking down underneath the table and I see the tables were circular. And I'm looking at this circle of just all of our Grippy Socks. All of our Grippy Socks. And I looked up because I was having the hardest time thinking about the name of this thing. I was like, okay, I need to come up with like something that is going to be vulnerable, but also kind of dark, go around the idea of my podcast, which is like acceptance of the mentally ill and like survivors, trauma and chaos and all the hurt and pain, and just also tie it up with like a group that you can come to in a safe space. I'm looking down and I could not figure out the name. And I'm looking down and then I look up and I'm like, you guys, the Grippy Sock Club. And they go, Brooke, that's perfect. My target audience is going to know what that means. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry. You are going to get your own pair of Grippy socks eventually because I'm going to be doing merch. We're going to be selling our own Grippy sock. I hope that all the payments we receive on these socks, I would like to donate half of every pair we sell to a mental health foundation or, a nonprofit or something, suicide helpline. It's anything that we can do, but that's the goal. So don't worry, you'll get your own. But I'm going to wrap it up let's just go with a story that I told the therapist the day that I came in. And she said, Brooke, what is it like to live with borderline personality disorder? What is it like in your head? And I said, it's like the pit bull that everybody thinks is dangerous. But really, this little puppy is so sweet, right? But that little puppy, it wasn't born evil, wasn't born this crazy, didn't want to eat everybody dog. No, this dog was beaten and raised to be a type of dog that he wasn't. And then one day the owner goes and corners him and he's just had enough and he bites the hand. Well, what happens next? The dog gets put down, just another pit bull that bites people, and the owner goes on. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. I went in there. I was like, I need your help. I need to get this version of me out. I need to get rid of her. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. She's like, whoa. Who? And I was like, this other version of me. And she said, explain it. I said, when I start to split or I get scared, this comes from a fear place. I'm gonna let y'all know this doesn't always, I'm normal, quote unquote, normal until I'm scared, until I feel rejected or abandoned or is about to happen, or, especially fear, until I'm in fear, scared in a situation or triggered. You'd never know I had BPD. Okay, so say I get scared about something or I'm triggered. And it's got to be a big trigger for this to happen, the splitting. And this fear, like when I get scared. So this person comes in and she's like, sit down. I got you. Turn around, close your eyes. You don't want to see this. And this version of me takes over and I'm not present. And they are disgusting with their words. They're just manipulative and wrong and will hurt the people they love verbally. And just because they're scared, like I'm scared. So they feel like they need to protect me, right? I'm just being protected. I'm not even meaning to do it. It just happens. I can't help it. And then I come back and I see the aftermath once everything is done. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? And people I love are gone. And it's painful. It's so painful to live like that. Because that's what kept you safe as a child. Whenever you couldn't mentally handle what was going on around you and hurting you, you had to go away and something else had to come help you. And that's what it was. And after a while, it's all I learned how to protect myself. And when you have to be an adult and you have to sit here and watch the pain that you caused and the people that you love because you were scared and you don't want them to leave, but you push them away when you were in this episode and you hurt them with the words you said and the things that you did. And you have to turn around and open your eyes to the aftermath of that. It is hell. And you begin to hate yourself. You hate yourself. It's hell. And I wanted the doctor to help me get that out. And she said, Brooke, you don't need to hate her. I said, what? I hate her. She was like, you don't need to hate her. If anything, we need to thank her because that's who kept you safe all those years when you were a child. But it's not easy but as an adult, huh? It really can mess up your life. I said, yeah, it's destroyed a lot of things. A lot of things that I worked hard for. Like, okay, well, maybe we don't need to get rid of her. Maybe we need to just teach her how to protect you in a more healthy way. And I was like, yes, please. And she's like, but we need to thank her, what she has protected you from that you don't remember as a kid. I said, okay. And that's when they brought in dialectual behavioral therapy into my life. And that is what I've been doing. DBT is the type of therapy that is specific for borderline patients. It's the only therapy that's going to help us. I've started it and I'm so excited. DBT isn't found everywhere. So I'm super excited and I'm super looking forward to this. And I thought, why not launch my first episode on BPD and mental health, all that, because it is Borderline Personality Disorder Awareness Month. So why not, right? Hell yeah. How perfect. And well, you made it to the end of my first episode. This has been the Grippy Sock Club, where crazy is our love language and healing comes with side effects like ugly crying during panic attacks to self-deprecated humor. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to share it with a friend, scream it into the void, or leave a review. All forms of support are welcome here. Don't forget to take your meds, drink some water. What do they say? Drink some water, take your meds, and remember, you're not too much. The world's just learning how our brains work. Catch you next time, and it's been great. It's been real, it's been fun, it's been real fun. Catch you next time.